I'm Jason Cowan. The birth of Cake, or the idea behind Cake, started 4 years ago. I was a dean at a high school. During my time in the role, I realized that it was a small amount of kids that accounted for the large amount of the infractions. And I wanted to figure out a way to support those kids and help avoid them falling into the cycle of violating school policy and finding themselves with a punitive consequence. Those students were consistently finding themselves in that pattern, and the school hadn't identified ways to support those kids. That forced me to question just how schools and organizations were dealing with discipline. Were we effectively teaching kids how to shift behaviors, or just giving them blanket consequences as a solution? Through conversations with staff members, including Anthony Bush, it sparked me to want to develop a more programmatic approach to this issue. Through my work with Anthony and collaborating, we devised some different approaches to some of those aspects of the school.
I wrote a 15-page proposal focused on intersectional justice and equity that was staff-facing, student-facing, and whole school-facing. I developed a curriculum for universal justice, which basically looks to view social movements throughout history to discuss power, privilege, oppression, and how that impacts people in marginalized communities. Additionally, I drafted programming that would be teacher-facing, which used several identity markers to look at race on the institutional, interpersonal, internalized levels to discuss how our own personal biases impact our interactions with students and replicate oppressive practices. The third phase of my programming was the Town Hall series, where we look at a whole school issue or communal issue that is spotlighting and impacting our school community, and we spotlight that issue as a means to come up with actionable programming to provide solutions to those injustices that we're seeing within our respective communities. The purpose of our programming is to provide coastal responsive programming for our school community.
Our program helps create student leaders through a process of training.
The goal of our programming is really to provide intersectional equity for all stakeholders in a school community. The teacher-facing programming is really to think about the ways that a teacher's identity and lived experiences inform these types of biases. Additionally, the student-facing programming is equipping them with the same knowledge and skills as a means to develop the critical thinking skills in terms of how they navigate oppression, privilege, and various other isms in the world.
Our initiative supports schools by dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline. Our initiative is structured to build relationships, to increase community engagement, and lend to building a positive school culture. We do that through our restorative justice programming.